up and how exactly they get so good. I have a feeling it's food, indeed. But yeah,
to be fair,
here we are
SEA
with
food.
our Champ Select. Yeah, SEA food. Champ Select over here. And what do you guys think of the current picks right now? D2.
Yeah, I mean, Team Secret is really just leaning in on making sure that Azar gets his confidence back. They banned out the Renekton, going with the Riven, just basically uncontested in that top lane. And you know, following up with two very solid picks in the Varus and the Ziggs. So I'm liking their draft thus far, especially because they're really prioritizing making sure that Azar cannot fail in the top lane.
I think that's a big part of it as well, right? Azar has been shut down pretty hard. And this team comp from Team Secret, it's a little bit odd, I would say. They have the Ziggs Ferris, they want to run a double poke. I think it's a very good answer from MBR. They recognize that, you know what, you're going for double poke, you're going for long range, we're going to pick long range engage. We're going to put the Chum the Waters, Trail of the Hunt, getting your backline, Kai'Sa with Killer Instinctive, and you have no options left but to die.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a counter to the counter here, going with the Gragas, making sure, like,
good.
you know, you get in the back line, making sure that you can heal them off of you once they get there. You know, we see a lot of Rengar, particularly in like the Korean region. You know, having just joined recently, what are your thoughts on the Rengar? I feel like he could shine here, but it's definitely it depends on how MBR play him.
I think Rengar's an extremely strong pick. I'm quite surprised that he's actually dropped a bit in Prio. He's been consistently first picked, first rotation for pretty much the entire play-in stage, or banned away as well. So I'm quite surprised in group stage he actually drops down quite a bit. I think it's mostly due to other champions rising, such as people realizing Riven is so OP if we get to team fights. I think that's part of why Rengar has dropped, but I still think as a champion, he's just extremely strong. His numbers are just so good. If he gets on top of your head, he's going to chop it in half. So you have to always be careful of this champion if you don't have enough disengage.
Yeah, D2, I wanted your thoughts as well on MBR picking Fizz, you know, kind of, I guess, showing Team Secret this is how you do it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Is it a power play sort of like against Team Secret, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's exactly like Almost said, right? You need to be able to get onto that backline, especially because of the danger that comes from the Ziggs and the Varus. So much damage getting poured out. And honestly, I think that Team Secret can still this, though. I think they can hold on and not get caught by the Fizz out here.
Hopefully so. We're gonna find out indeed if they can get caught out. Team Secret versus MBR heading into game 2. Casters, over to you.
Thank you very much there, Mike. Yes, let's see what Team Secret can do. They've made some adjustments and they've said, you know what, we need a draw here, TJ. It's unacceptable if we go 0-2 in this very long day to close out what will be Group A.
Yeah, I mean, wins and losses versus MBR very likely decide this group, Skimmy. So Team Secret, they're not in danger of elimination yet, but they do need to start looking at those 2-3 slots and figuring out where they want to leave this group. There are very real consequences if you get placed into the lower bracket in playoffs. You essentially have one less life, so Team Secret need this win. It's actually very important for them.
But let's see what they can do, because we're back off to a flying start straight in the mid lane to soak some experience and trying to assert a little bit of tempo on the map. MBR, they've run it back with this exact bot lane once again, but they've made a lot more adjustments towards the mid to top side.
Yeah, so MBR, I mean, I think the way to explain the MBR comp is to start with the Team Secret comp, right? Because like Daniel was saying on the desk, like Omo was saying on the desk, they have this really squishy backline, the Ziggs, the Varus, very clear backline as well. And then they've got a ton of CC in front of that. They're going to be relying on Azar and James to build that just wall of stuns. And here's where you explain the MBR comp. Everything on their team is built to get past that. You've got Rengar, you've got Fiora, you've got Fizz, they've all got bounces. And they're going to bing bang bong right into that back line and just pick off the Varus, pick off the Ziggs.
We're going to make that a thing, aren't we? Yes, that's how we get ourselves ready for a cast. We just shout that one out loud and proud. And, you know, you're feeling yourself out in this game. And I'm sure they will be too, because you quite rightly touch on just how much of a nightmare it's going to be as the Ziggs, as the Varus, to try and play out this game, knowing that that looming threat, it's always going to get there.
Yeah, and I think MBR are in trouble if they don't start any of those characters rolling. This is one of those full damage compositions we were talking about last game, Skimmy, where if they don't get early damage on these characters and early gold into these characters, like we were talking about with Radiance on the Ahri last game, if Radiance can't one-shot somebody with his full rotation of spells, with all of his cooldowns, then they're in trouble. Yeah. And you can't do that if you're on even level with your opponents. You can only do that if you find early kills and get early gold.
It's
So
a classic
that's
argument,
the
isn't it?
pressure.
With like double assassin, you need to get the ball rolling nice and early. Otherwise, you know, your opposition is just laughing straight to the late game and nullifying everything that you've offered.
Yeah, so that's kind of the pressure on MBR right now. They need to find early kills. They need to start their assassins going. Because I would argue this isn't double assassin, this is triple assassin.
Count Fiora as the assassin now, or are we going to go the Kaiser way?
Janna. You see that top lane gank last game, Skimmy?
Yes! Yes, support's getting the love that they so desperately deserve. Tobu, I'm loving this. You know what? Forget about the Rakans and the Namis and the Lulus. Bring back Janna. Make it phenomenal, because I'm enjoying it.
I did see... Here's a Summoner series shout-out that this series deserves.
Okay, yeah.
Beginnings on Tatsuri will be fine. Oh?
Oh, will he not? Okay, the barrier's you. Oh, well, that is what...
He's dead!
Oh, no
He
way!
He could have lived, but he mistimed the iframe.
No way, TJ. I held my breath.
Idiot.
I held my breath. And maybe it's not the right call, but unfortunately, Radiance falls on down for a trade.
You just stay in the hop, and you don't die to that. He mistimes it. That's tragic for Radiance. He could have lived through that like 3 different ways. Anyway, first blood does go to MBR, so it's a slight gold lead to them, but minor.
Okay, well, that is the first bit of action that this mid-jungle duo have been able to showcase. And, okay, we're going straight bot side. Nice killer instinct, isn't it? Beautiful in that regard, but hang on a minute. You run the gauntlet from your 2v2 pairing in the bot lane to a roaming jungler in Trevor that says hello, and will take your turret too.
But MBR are flanking the flank. Check out this cutoff being set up by Radiance.
And right there, looking to try and find an angle. It doesn't matter. Tatsuri has destroyed the Janna. You can't shield the turret anymore. There's the satchel charge, and there is the first turret of the second game.
James is just dragging Team Secret, kicking and screaming to a game win here as he zones off repeatedly, ganks from further up the river. Stopped the mid play earlier, slowed that down. Shows up here in the bottom lane to again stop the flank, find initiation. And now he's going to try and contest for this Drake.
Yeah, he needs about another 20 seconds though before his ultimate's there. Locked in place, too much CC. He just dies.
That's
instantly. The Crescent Guard looked nice though from the Zins out. That does at least nullify Radiant's big contributing factor. And if anything else, I mean, they stopped their Dragon for the meantime.
Yeah, because MBR can't really teamfight with this composition. So James, it's well worth it given how short the death timers are. They're going to get a team fight now properly, and they win those.
Nice knockback. Out goes the tornado. The Dragon is getting closer and closer to smite range. Can they steal it? They can't. Treble flashes away to secure it, but Onion King's on the prowl and takes him down like the assassin split-pushing character that it was designed to be. Oh, the explosive cast. James really is doing everything you wanted, TJ.
Flash ult! That was a flash ult to get that barrel.
Wow.
I have no words for what James is doing in this series.
But it makes the two of us.
He's done so much. Yeah, you could tell neither of us had any words for that, Skippy.
We just let the, you know, the tones of the game play out for a few whilst we consider, you know, what to say next, because James is really putting in,
Skippy?
he's putting in a hard day shift.
And you know what we call that in the business?
What's that?
An awkward pause. A full engage at the start of this fight kind of spelled trouble for Team Secret, but MBR don't play this effectively because they have all these assassins, but Onion King is like AFK behind the fight, finding a kill onto individual. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. MBR should be using this Fiora as a frontline because Onion King is kind of the only character that can take a beating. The Riposte is the only tool they have to sustain through Team Secret's frontline. Basically, any time MBR fight front to back against Team Secret, they're going to lose. The only advantage they have is in these ganks.
Well, that is the gank, as you'll see. And they're looking for that kill. Tatsuri's life is so hard, but he's done it. He has survived. Tobu's guaranteed a kill onto James, who tried to do everything he could. Oh, look at the Sonias. Look at that. Oh, the flash away afterwards. And the kill. And the double kill. He is dominating, and he's outplaying MBR.
Tobu burns the flash to try and finalize that, but can't get in range for a single auto. Wow. Genuinely tragic. And Tatsuri, as a result, will survive. MBR falling behind in Game 2 as Team Secret presents a little bit more of a unified face. And what's more importantly, James shows up to play.
Currently does. He's putting in so much work as a support. Gragas going to be itemizing towards that tank build. But you'd love to see if he'd gone the AP route instead. Could certainly start to one-shot some people in this game. And as you say, quite rightly, you know, MBR are down what is soon to be 5k, maybe even 6k, with the mid-tier 1 falling down too. You're concerned because those assassins, their KDA doesn't look too pretty, and the gold leaders starting to escape them.
Yeah, and this is really hard to turn a game around from. Okay, on Need King. Because the only way you turn this game back around if you're MBR is you keep committing, you keep taking risks, you keep trying to find individual 1v1 plays. Because there's no other way back into this game. They don't have the tools to do anything else. So they're going to have to keep taking risks that are 49 to 50%, you know, negative probability risks in order to try and win this. And, you know, it's unlikely.
Unlikely, but, you know, there is that risk associated with it, and they don't really have any other viable option left in the game. If this is the comp you've gone for, this is the playstyle you must execute. And if anything more, I suppose they're really hoping that Team Secret then make the next move or make the next mistake. And hope that they can pounce upon that.
I do think MBR need to focus a little bit more on Tatsuri, who's been playing a solid game here. Both of the big carry threats from Team Secret are pretty far out ahead, and that speaks to MBR's lack of good execution upon the composition they've drafted. Because frankly, there should have been constant presence in Tatsuri and Chewy's lanes. Every time these team fights start, MBR should have been focusing specifically on those players, given that they are Team Secret's only damage.
In the wings. I'm just waiting to see when Elvis decides to jump out. He's got another ward in that second bush. He's now going to get revealed. Azar knows the play. The playbook is, do I take the 1v2 underneath the turret? Do I have the mechanics? And do I have the skill? The ignite goes out. He's going to try. He hits the stun. There are posts. Wow. It doesn't matter. He just ignores the Fiora. He takes down the Rengar. And he's looking for the Fiora now. In comes the cavalry. Toby makes it a 1v3.
Thomas.
And that is just unfair. Azar was playing out of his mind. And they're now going to try and find vengeance, but they missed a chain of corruption. Onion King on the great escape. With no ultimates to throw his way. It'll be Ignite. It'll be Sparrow. He's still living, no. Finally, he falls on down. And that was as crazy as anything in the top lane there.
And I want to give a shout out to both our supports, both James for finding the kill, and Tobu for just slipping away in the night. Did you catch that? Tobu just manages to steal away through the bushes, perfectly timing his escape to get out of that top lane.
Wow. Well, this is what you expect with compositions like this.
No, it's not.
And, you know, they've got assassins, they've got damage, they want to fight.
Never in my wildest dreams.
I don't care. These players are saying, we're skill checking you, and Team Secret are saying, we need this draw.
Never in my wildest dreams would I have expected this.
Well,
we are zoned back. That was Mega Inferno Bomb spent. If you're keeping track of cooldowns, it'll be up in approximately 15 more seconds. As the Baron does get taken here by Team Secret, and MBR don't really have the tools to contest. We'll see if they can grab Tatsuri.
I mean, look at where Radiance is right now. He's pushing that wave bot to say, well, you have to answer this one, but Tatsuri takes up time with these bombs. Oh, the double range harass. Zex and Varus together is such a recipe for success. And Tobu cannot step up. They cannot contest. They have to split push, which is what they are doing, bear in mind. But that Baron is as free as anything for Team Secret.
My God, and look at James just being the perfect bouncer that entire time, just blocking MBR's entrance to the pit. He's the reason it's so easy for this double ranged harass, we didn't see that, to find value during that fight, is because they can't ever get close to Tatsuri or Chewy because of James, who's just being that bodyguard, being that wall of muscle. What are you going to do, MBR?
Yeah, I mean, MBR is obviously the opposition, but I think James really is playing for the MVP more so than anything here, DJ. He's really saying, we've got to get this dub. We've got to get this one in the books. We can't afford to have a similar scoreline here to MBR. We need to pull ahead. And they're doing the thing right here, up by 7,000 gold. Another turret down, they're 4th off the game. This Baron buff looking to put in a big amount of work.
Alves on the flank, needs Tatsuri.
That's the charge used, and the inhibitor survives for the meantime. Oh, the knockback onto 2! Tatsuri just destroys their life, their hopes, and their dreams. The range poke duo once again, back at it again, deleting anybody that comes in close contact with them. Their Nexus, the last thing standing between them and a 1-1 scoreline, and that's what they're hoping for. That's what they're hunting for, and at 30 minutes, that is what Team Secret will get.
Well, fair